The woman on the phone asks for my husband by name. Her voice is calm, professional, and routine. She's calling from the insurance company to update coverage information. Just confirming, she says. We're updating the policy for James and his 3 dependents. My blood runs cold. 3 dependents. I grip the phone tighter. Can you repeat that? She hesitates now, sensing something's wrong in my silence. 3 children listed on the policy, she says carefully. Is that incorrect? We have 1 daughter. Just 1. The room suddenly feels smaller, like the walls are moving closer. My heart pounds so loud I can barely hear her apologizing, asking if she should call back later. No, that's fine, I hear myself say. Thank you. I hang up quietly. My hands are completely steady, but my stomach is twisting into knots. My name is Victoria, and that phone call was the exact moment my marriage ended, even though my husband didn't know it yet. He was living a double life. And I was about to document every single piece of it. I didn't confront James that night. I didn't throw the phone across the room or demand answers. I didn't cry or scream or ask him to explain. Instead, I made dinner. I set the table like I did every night. I listened to him complain about traffic on the highway and a difficult client at work. I nodded in all the right places. He had no idea that anything had changed. My silence wasn't a weakness. It was a strategy. I realized something important sitting across from him that night: anger warns people. It puts them on guard. It makes liars careful. But silence? Silence makes them confident. It makes them sloppy. That night, while James slept peacefully beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I was living next to a man who thought he could manage 2 separate lives. He thought he was smart enough to keep the lies organized. He was wrong. And I was going to prove it. Curiosity turned into discipline overnight. I started noticing patterns I'd ignored before. James's work trips happened like clockwork, twice every month, always to the same city, always the same hotel chain according to his credit card statements. I opened our shared calendar. I checked old receipts. I looked at his car's mileage tracker. Everything pointed to the same address, the one listed on that insurance file I'd quietly requested a copy of. Same zip code. Same neighborhood. Different life entirely. I didn't need proof that he was cheating anymore. I was staring at a complete system of deceit so organized it almost looked professional. Patterns don't lie. They just sit there waiting for someone smart enough to read them. And I was reading every single line. The trips always lasted exactly 3 days. Always the same weekend pattern each month. He wasn't improvising. He was running a schedule. James was incredibly careful. He had a separate phone I'd never seen. Private credit card accounts that weren't linked to our joint finances. His email inbox was always clean, suspiciously clean. He didn't cheat carelessly like some affair in a moment of weakness. He managed this like a business operation. Like a CEO managing risk and protecting assets. I understood something crucial then: if I confronted him now, he'd just close off my access to evidence. He'd lock everything down, lawyer up, and deny everything. So I played my part perfectly. I stayed patient. I stayed kind. I acted a little distracted, a little tired from work. Every question I didn't ask gave him more confidence that I suspected nothing. And every ounce of confidence made him just a little bit sloppier with covering his tracks. I was building a case, not having a fight. One Friday afternoon, while James was on another business trip, I got in my car. I drove to the address myself. It took 2 hours to get there. The apartment complex was smaller than our house but nice, well-maintained, safe neighborhood, good schools nearby. I parked across the street and waited. Around 4 o'clock, I saw her. A woman unlocking the door to apartment 2B. 2 children bounced along behind her, backpacks swinging. The boy looked about 7. The girl is maybe 5. They both had his eyes. That same dark brown color, that same shape. I didn't cry. I didn't feel anything except cold, clear focus. I wrote down the building's name, the apartment number, and the time I saw them. Then I left. I'd seen enough to understand the complete truth. I wasn't dealing with a man having an affair. I was married to a man running 2 parallel lives. People always assume betrayal comes with tears and screaming. Mine didn't. I felt strangely detached. Calm. Almost scientific about the whole thing. Rage wastes energy, and I couldn't afford to waste anything right now. Energy. Time. Evidence. I started documenting everything. Every email I could access through our shared accounts. Every transaction on credit cards. Every trip itinerary he'd left in his briefcase. I even figured out how to access his phone backups through our shared cloud storage without him knowing. My silence wasn't numbness or shock. It was preparation. I wasn't planning some dramatic confrontation or revenge scene. I was building a legal case that would stand up in court. Every night, I added more pieces to the puzzle. Every piece made the picture clearer. And the clearer it became, the calmer I felt. It became a ritual. Every night after James fell asleep, I'd open my laptop and log into the hidden folder I'd created, password protected, backed up to a separate account he didn't know existed. Dates. Receipts. Screenshots. Cross-reference timelines. I found the actual insurance document listing both families. 2 separate sets of dependents. 2 different addresses for coverage. That was my legal proof, but I wanted more than proof. I wanted to understand how deep this went. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach turn. The timelines overlapped in cruel ways. Our wedding anniversaries matched the birth dates of his other children. My daughter's birthday was the same month he'd apparently started the other relationship. He hadn't just divided his time between 2 families. He'd rewritten reality itself. One night, James turned to me in bed. "You okay?" he asked. "You seem quiet lately." I smiled at him. "Just tired from work. You know how it is." He nodded, visibly relieved, and rolled over to sleep. That's when I understood something important about him. His greatest fear wasn't being exposed. It wasn't losing everything. It was conflict. Confrontation. Uncomfortable conversations. As long as I stayed quiet and normal, he thought he was completely safe. That was his blind spot. That was the weakness I was going to exploit. He thought silence meant ignorance. He thought my calm meant I didn't know. He was so wrong it was almost funny. I knew everything. I just wasn't ready to use it yet. I didn't start with confrontation. I started with paperwork. Quietly, carefully, I filed for marital financial disclosure, the kind of legal request that requires both parties to list every account, every transaction, every dependent, everything. Nothing survives those forms. Every secret comes out when lawyers get involved. 3 weeks later, I was in the kitchen when James took a phone call. He stepped into the hallway, and I heard his voice drop to an urgent whisper. "What do you mean financial disclosure?" he hissed. "Who filed that?" His tone was sharp with panic. I kept chopping vegetables for dinner like I couldn't hear anything. That was the sound of his carefully constructed world starting to crack apart. And I was the one holding the hammer. The truth didn't explode all at once. It unfolded slowly, piece by piece. I sat across from James at our dining room table 2 weeks later. His phone was buzzing constantly on the table between us. He looked pale, almost gray. "How much do you know?" he finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I looked at him calmly. "Enough," I said. Just that one word. The color drained completely from his face. He realized in that moment that I wasn't discovering his secrets anymore. I had already documented them, organized them, prepared them for legal presentation. He looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. But really, he was just seeing me clearly for the first time. The woman who'd been collecting evidence while he slept. The wife he'd underestimated completely. The other woman stopped being the problem once the lawyers got involved. The system itself became the issue. Once everything came into legal daylight, both households were exposed. Child support was recalculated for all 3 children. His bank accounts were frozen pending the divorce proceedings. His professional reputation quietly fell apart when colleagues started hearing pieces of the story. Every record he'd created to keep his 2 lives separate became the exact proof that destroyed him. I didn't have to ruin him. I just had to stop protecting him from the consequences of his own choices. The insurance company, the credit card companies, the legal system, they all did the work. I just provided the documentation. When everything settled, people kept asking me the same question. "How did you stay so calm through all of this?" The truth is simple: silence lets me win. Panic gives liars power and opportunity. They can adjust, cover tracks, and create new lies. But patience? Patience takes all their power away. The woman from the insurance company who accidentally revealed everything became my witness in court. She confirmed the policy details, the timeline, everything. Every lie James told became another statement against him in legal documents. I never raised my voice once during the entire process. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke louder than I ever could. Now when people hear what happened, they call it revenge. It wasn't revenge. It was restoration, taking back the truth that he'd tried to bury. My life didn't end when I discovered his betrayal. It actually began the moment I decided to document instead of confront. I learned something important through all of this: silence doesn't mean ignorance or weakness. Silence means evidence. It means control. It means power. James lived 2 lives built on lies. I lived in the truth, even when that truth was painful. And in the end, truth doesn't need to shout or make threats. It just waits patiently, gathering strength. And then, when the moment is right, it takes everything back.